All right, welcome everybody. I am Johnny Moe. This is the Straight Talk Podcast. I'm a 23-year Air Force veteran, disabled vet, suicide survivor, son, father, husband, and brother. Looking to spread awareness of addiction, PTS, suicide, how to navigate the VA and all its craziness, and just educate and assist those who may be struggling with addiction, PTS, transitioning to civilian life, or just need a bit of guidance on how to be you at home as a civilian. Today's interview is with a very good friend of mine. I've known him for about 20 years. He was a chief master sergeant in the Air Force. That's a E9 for those other branches. No more deserving fellow than Ken. He's got a fantastic story with transitioning after retirement. He and I actually met for lunch last year out in Arizona where he's at. I happened to be out there for work, and we hooked up for lunch, and we have a lot of the same triggers, same anxieties, same thoughts with depression and fitting in and transitioning to civilian life. So it should be a good interview. So with that, welcome to Ken Pauley. Ken, how you doing?
Listening to, and this is great, man. I love it. I've listened to every episode now. I just finished the part when you sent me the email about Brandon and going back to his second deployment after the whole incident. So listen, people should listen to that one. That's an interesting story. And I can tell you from a chief role, right, as an E9 role, that I have been in meetings where they wanted to cast people away. And that's when you learn. Mm-hmm. People always tell you when you go to chief school, dude, that they don't teach you what you need to know. You'll know when you know, right? And when you're sitting in one of those meetings and they want to throw away a person for a DUI and he's this young, E4, and you basically tell a colonel to go get bent.
Yeah.
That's when you know. And so it's interesting listening to those stories from other people's perspectives, especially on his side.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's what I said, being the first sergeant for 2 years.
Dude, you've been right there with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
First sergeant, let's go.
Yeah.
We're going in there to lay down the hammer.
When I had that stuff with, what was his name? The former senior, Jim Sample's brother-in-law.
Oh, yeah. Skip.
No.
Wasn't Skip?
No. Him and Prokop didn't get along.
Oh, what was his name?
Anyway,
not memorable.
I was the AOC, the account coordinator for the travel card, as first shirt, and
I remember. Yeah,
we're pulling the monthly report, and he's got this outstanding $400 balance. So I just went up to him like I did everybody else. I'm like, hey, wait, can I talk about this? I can talk about this.
Yeah, we're not saying any names. Nobody knows.
And he said, I said, hey, do you have a outstanding TDY voucher or anything? I said, you got an overpayment or you got a missed payment on your travel card. I'll get back with you in a couple of days. He says, all right, thanks. Yeah, I'll look into it. All right, cool. So I go look for orders, and they're like, no, he hasn't had any orders for months. I'm like, God damn it. Yeah. Now you put me in a spot. Yeah. Now I have to do my job.
Right.
And I took it up to Schulte, I took it up to Prokop, and they're like, we have to. We have to. And I said, well, can we knock it down to an LOR? Because he's got nothing. He's got 30 something fucking years, and I don't have anything bad on this guy.
Right.
They're like, yeah, we'll do that. And then we'll put in lieu of LOR, member selects retirement or whatever. Well, it was going to be perfect. That's all it was going to be, was an LOR. He goes out and smokes dope on Wednesday, gets popped for a fucking civilian drug text on Tuesday.
I remember this whole incident.
Oh, son of a! Are you kidding me?
But just think, if you don't do that as a first sergeant, how do you then face an E3 or an E2 with They're just like you said earlier in the one interview I listened to. That kid's hot water tank went out and they can't afford baby food.
Right.
Well, versus somebody out using a government card at a casino.
Right.
I remember this incident well.
The card wasn't at the casino. It was at the gas station across the street.
Yeah, he was smart enough about that.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That role, it's just like with Brandon, you know? I mean, listen, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If you won't eat in that chow hall, your troop shouldn't eat in that chow hall. Right?
Right.
It's the same thing in life now. If you won't do it, don't force your family to do it.
No, you are absolutely 100% correct.
Yeah, don't be the wimp at work and the big dog at home. It doesn't work, man.
No, I can remember who was that kid? Ethan, I think was his name, Hart. And I didn't realize he was Colonel Hart's son or Brigadier General. I didn't realize that. And he come in with this nasty fucking hair just over his ears, just looked like shit. And I stopped him. I said, "You are not signing in looking like that." And he said, "Excuse, well, I didn't have a chance to get a haircut." I'm like, "There's 4 fucking weeks in between UTAs. You got time to get a haircut." As a matter of fact, right on 46, is it? There's a barbershop.
Right.
Or I have clippers in my office.
Yeah.
You can go to the bathroom and shave your head, or wait till 9 o'clock, go get a haircut, come back in for the second period.
Yep.
Your choice. So he goes over into the bathroom and tries to shave his head, and it looks like shit. Now, granted, Evan was only 19 at the time.
Yeah, good kid, man. Good kid.
Great kid. I mean, I think he's a tech now, you know?
Yeah, something. Exactly.
Yeah, great kid. And he comes back and he apologized. He's like, "First Sergeant, man, I'm really sorry. You're right. I should never show up like that." I said, "Well, what would your dad say if he saw you walking in looking like that?"
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Come on, man. You can't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
you're wearing that flag, that Air Force, and that name on that uniform.
That's right.
Get it squared away for all three.
It all means something. So
that's right, man.
Hell, I should have been recording all this from the beginning, man. We got a story right here.
That's all right. We can pick up. So I'm good. You can record. I don't know if I'm dressed good enough, but whatever.
Oh, I don't care. I always put on the Save 22 stuff. You know, Save 22 saved my life.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, feel free to record, man. You got my permission. I'm fine with it.
Great.
Hopefully my story is not too boring versus all the other people you've had on already. Some fantastic people.
Thank you. I don't think anybody's veteran story is going to be boring. Especially, you know, after you and I went to lunch and we had some talks and, you know, squirted a few tears there. There's always something that you're struggling with, whether you did 2 years or 30 years.
Yeah,
you're going to be struggling with something. And you and I said the same thing. I didn't know how to be a husband or a father. I didn't know what to do. I was going crazy, pulling our hair out. Now both, you know, you and I are bald, but you know, we're pulling our hair out and stuff. And, you know, you had to get away and you got to get on the bike and you got to go, you know, collect your thoughts. And, you know, you being out there with no family other than Tammy, right? Tammy's the only one out there with you. So, you know, you don't know what to do. So I think that lunch was a big help for both of us that day.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I agree, man. You know, I've been blessed so far because, you know, living here in Phoenix, it's a great area. It's a beautiful area. So I've gotten to see, you know, some friends if they've come through.
Yeah.
You know, it's a pretty good spot where people have come through. I got to catch up with some people from active duty and, you know, Youngstown like yourself and Van Winkle and some other people. So it helps. It helps you still feel connected, even being 2,400 miles across the country, you know?
Yeah. I think we missed that connection. We missed that commonality of thought, that personality thing. You know, you and I have had our arguments over the years deployed and stuff, but they all go away, you know?
And you know what? Family argues. Absolutely. But there was never a question if we had each other's back.
No, not at all.
Not one. Listen, I'll tell you a funny story. You know, you talk about arguments. Sam, my wife knows about this, and Flippy knows about this. Sam Flippy, I'll name drop him because he'd do the same to me. He's the only man I've ever divorced. When you have been on so many deployments with one person, lived in the same tent or the same unit, same exact schedule,
Yeah.
same chow hall, same gym, and you walk those 273 steps to the shitter every day with the man. By the end of that deployment, you look at each other and you go, I don't want to see you for 2 months. Like,
Right.
dude, I'm so tired of you.
Yeah.
The way you chew your food, I'm
Yep.
done. And but, and we've had literally tackle over the couch in Germany, fist fight, but this, just like with you, if anybody ever needed anything or mess with that person, dude, you're bringing the force.
Oh, bringing it.
Everybody.
Bringing it. Sammy went through pretty rough time over the last couple of years.
Here he is.
And I reached out, and what really bothered me was he said, John, you're the only one that reached out and noticed anything going on.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, you spend all that time with those guys out at the base and none of them called you.
Yeah.
None of them said anything. And I'm sure that you talked to them.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I think as long as you have that one or two,
Yeah.
you'd like to have 100 or 200.
Yeah.
But I think as long as you have that one or two that can recognize, hey man, that's not you. That's not the Sammy I know.
Yeah.
Something's up. Are you okay?
Yeah. You know what? For me, I was already out here when that whole incident happened with his marriage, and sad, but I remember you and I were deployed with a gentleman who we had to do emergency flight home with because he didn't know where his children were. The ultimate, doesn't know where his wife is, can't contact his children. And I remember telling him, and he's like a brother to me, and I won't say his name right here, but, I said, sometimes with the biggest hardships comes the biggest rewards. Let's look at your Save 22, man.
Right.
All those hardships to get to where your group of people are now helping, that's I've heard you say it and everybody else a million times. The rewards are worth everything. You wouldn't give up any of those experiences to not be where you are now. Right.
Right. Exactly.
And with that individual, I remember telling him when he was we were getting ready to fly him out of Kyrgyzstan.
That Kyrgyzstan, yeah.
Kyrgyzstan, that listen, man, 5-6 years from now, you're probably going to look back at this and think, thank God this happened, and luckily that happened. So hopefully it's the same for Sam. I know he's getting finally to enjoy some life. Everybody needs a companion, and hopefully he'll get there. There's somebody for him. He's a great guy. He's just got to find that right person.
He's an incredible dude. We all met 20 some years ago.
Yeah.
And we were barely 30.
Yeah.
And a lot can happen in 20 years, all them deployments and time away, and kids grow up and move away. And now Sammy's serving with both his boys.
That's incredible, man. What's funny? That's when I knew I was done. When I start to see people come in, that's when I knew I was done, man.
Kids coming in 10 years after you went in.
Yeah, man. It was no.
Hey, Tiffany's in.
That's hard to believe, man. By the way, I saw the pictures of your other daughter and the wedding and stuff.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, she loves being a photographer.
Yeah.
Loves it. And Tiffany's a crew chief.
I saw that. That's awesome. Go Ramp Dogs, man. Go Crew Dogs. Where my heart is.
I don't people say that they have no regrets. Well, bullshit. If you don't have any regrets, you didn't try anything.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
The only thing I regret are the things that I didn't do. Not anything that I did, because like I said, the past put me where I am right now.
Yeah.
Whether a learning experience or a grateful experience or an awesome, whatever, it just put me where I am now. And her basic training unit was my unit in basic training as well. Same building.
Wow.
Same floor.
Wow.
I think she was in the same dorm. I mean, that was 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's a long time. Yeah.
But man, as soon as I walked in, Kenny, I'm like, man, I think this was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then she got the F-16s and she got the Wild Weasel mission, which my first unit was Wild Weasels.
I remember Georgia. Yeah.
So it just,
Small
it's
world,
made
man.
full circle,
Yeah.
brother.
You know what? You have regrets, but you don't dwell on those regrets.
No, you can't.
You ruck up and you move forward, right? I mean, you can look back at them and wonder what if, but you can't dwell on it. That
No.
dwell is what puts you in that dark closet, man.
Exactly.
You can't dwell on it.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
that
And that's
we all have them. We've all had them. I've passed on opportunities or passed on stuff that I look back and go, why didn't I? I mean, I knew I was getting married, man, when I went in to basic training. I knew I was going to ask her, right? I mean,
right.
we were both in a situation and it made sense. I actually tested in basic training to do SEER.
Yeah, me too.
School, and I passed the test and everything. And when it came down to it, I had a guaranteed job. And it was that fear of, if you don't make it, where are they going to dump me? And that knowing I was going to get married was enough to hold me back. And I can tell you, doing escape and evasion and all that other stuff, that I was like, ooh, I would probably really enjoyed this,
You'd have been a badass at that.
I would have really enjoyed this, but hey, it worked out. I've been married to the same lady for 29 years. So I guess I made the right choice,
Right.
So
now you're just on the cheaper to keep her plan.
She tries to cast me away more than I try to cast her, man.
I believe that because she's a saint. So
we all got saints, man. We all got it.
So I want to hear about your active duty time. What'd you do on active duty and where were you?
Yeah. So, it's funny, the commonality between all of your interviews, we're all lower class white families. I'm the youngest of 4 boys.
Well, Les isn't white. You know that. Les wasn't white. You didn't hear Les's interview yet.
Yeah, I know. I listened to Les's, Yeah. Les can laugh at me later or yell at me,
Yeah, he will.
He's a big brother to most of us. I think it was because of him I spent 9 years in the honor guard. Youngest of four boys growing up in a small trailer, pretty poor in Lordstown, Ohio. So the path for us was, there was no factory jobs, like you said before, and Jason said his, and the military was it. It was it. I had one. My oldest was in the Army, 2 in the Marine Corps, massive Marine Corps background, and my mom's side of the family. So interesting fact was, I actually went down to see the Marine Corps recruiter twice. I think they just knew I was going to join the military, and I wasn't hit hard for the military. And I had one of those dads. I was going into my senior years, and he's like, "You need to pick a branch because you're going to be leaving when you graduate. It's that simple." And we all have a lot of the same stories. So went down twice to see the Marine recruiter, couldn't catch him. And on the 3rd time, the Air Force guy slid his chair out. He was the first office, and he slid out his chair. He said, "I'll put you in today." So I went to the Air Force, and kind of like you, I knew I wanted to go aviation. I grew up watching Baa Black Sheep. Yep. Funny thing was, a lot of people idolized Pappy Boyington, and I love that old grungy Sergeant Major. They would yell at the boys for screwing up his airplane.
Chewing on that stogie.
Yeah, man. And at Youngstown Airport, when I was 16, Confederate Air Force was there, and I flew in a B-25 bomber.
Oh,
$50 to do a bombing run over Mosquito Lake, and I was hooked.
Oh, yeah.
Second I got into that thing, and my dad was a private pilot out in Salem Airport. Mm-hmm. He had a little Cessna, so I grew up around him. I know it's a little long-winded. I apologize.
But talk.
Air Force was when he said, "You want to go to the Air Force?" I said, "Well, I want to go Marine Aviation." So, hey, let's go to the Air Force. And when they gave me my job up in MEPS, dude, they gave me security forces like Albert, right? But my brother, who was in the Marine Corps, retired Sergeant Major from 2nd Recon 2nd Battalion out of Camp Lejeune. And he said, "What are you going in for?" And I told him, he said, "What are you, nuts?" I said, "Well, listen, man, I need a job. I need to go." He said, "No, you're going in the aviation. He said, you just don't want to be around it. You want to be a part of it.
Right.
Best advice I ever got, man. And so I called him back and I said, this is what I want. 2 minutes. I hung up the phone. 2 minutes later, they called me back and I went strategic aircraft maintenance specialist. So I went crew chief, KC-135s.
Yep.
On active duty, 6 years guaranteed, A1C out of basic. Graduated as dorm chief. Yeah, the whole time. Funny, basic was hilarious. I was the only guy that went in there bald. So if your people don't know listening, I have alopecia. I've had it since I was 12. I had to get a waiver of all things. I had to get a waiver to get in the Air Force.
A waiver for no body hair.
Yeah, for no body hair, man. So the funny thing was, it was right out of Stripes movie. The guy in front of me at Lackland got off with long hair.
Mm-hmm.
They were yelling at him in his face, and then I get off with no hair, and I locked those drill instructors up, man. And they took one look at me, and it was full on pit bull. And honestly, I was impressed, if any drill instructors are ever listening, how quick they could come up with insults.
Oh yeah.
I thought I had heard them all. Dude, it was everything I could not to laugh, because I was prepared. Honestly, I thought basic training in the Air Force was going to be like, Parris Island, because I had Marines,
Right.
We know it was nothing like that.
No, dude, when they handed us, when you have to go through that clothing issue, like day 2 or 3 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you're like, get your tennis shoes. And I looked at the guy and I go, tennis shoes for what? Why do I need tennis shoes? To run in. I said, hold on. And this is no bullshit. I looked right at him and I said, are we going to tell the enemy to hold on a minute? I got to change out of my combat boots to get in tennis shoes before I run. It's the fucking Air Force, son. Just go do it. I'm like, this is a joke.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, I had to sit in the barber chair, first guy, run the clippers, even if he has no hair. It was hilarious. But anyways, went from there, went to Shepherd, like so many of us. From there, went to Castle, of all things.
Oh, wow.
Castle in Merced. And all of a sudden they're like, oh no, you're supposed to be in New York. Your unit's deploying to Desert Storm. So I pack up, I head to Griffiths Air Force Base. I get there and it's a ghost town.
Yep. And
this is April of 91. By the time it was all done, getting to my unit in New York, from basic tech school, April of 91. And I get there, and I was there just for a short time, and they packed me and I went to Riyadh to match up with the unit. And then I came home, and in the middle of this, I asked my wife to marry me. She preps for the wedding without me being involved in any of it. I get home. We get married in September of 91. Remember back in the day, first time where you had to sign in off of leave?
Yes.
So we get home, first night in the apartment, had to borrow my buddy's car at Dover because my car wasn't good enough to go on our honeymoon. So in our honeymoon, I went to Dover Air Force Base to swap back out cars, right? Military brotherhood. So then we get there. The next morning, this is in the morning, I go to sign in off leave. They're like, we've been waiting for you. You're going to the desert in the morning. So I'm going back.
Oh.
My wife hasn't been in the apartment 12 hours, man.
Right.
So 1600, I come home with all my gear and shots, and, another gamma globin and all that stuff. And I'm gone for 8 months. So the first year of my marriage at Griffiths Air Force Base, my wife saw me 4 months.
Wow.
Between jumping around, back in the day, I was a dedicated flying crew chief, married to my airplane, flight pay, right, helmet, everything. Where the plane was gone, even if the crew swapped out, you're there. Stuck in that airplane, So she stuck with me. She didn't divorce me. So we did 4 years at Griffiths. Then we went to Fairchild. And that's where I got out on active duty, was after two years in Fairchild. And I didn't know I was getting out, but what happened was the whole time my first 4 years, I was deployed. I think maybe I saw my wife a total of a year and a half, actual living with her the first 4 years. Yep. Because you remember Desert Storm, Southern Watch, Northern Watch, all this.
Provide comfort.
I get to Fairchild and I'm deployed. I went to 92nd Air Refueling Wing, And I was 6 months from getting out. They came up to deploy me again. And I was like, no, you got E5s, E6s that's never been. I got ribbon after ribbon. I'm good. And they said, no, you're going. Well, I was back in Saudi. They came to me and they said, hey, you need to sign your reenlistment. I said, no, man, I'm done.
No, I'm done.
Well, I had so much terminal leave, John. They flew me home, and 2 days later, I was out of my base housing.
Wow.
But interesting story. I was gone for some of the other veterans from other branches. I was gone so much. My wife had moved from off base to on base, and nobody ever told me in Washington. And I came home from a deployment. I went to my apartment, and my wife wasn't there. My family was gone.
Oh,
nobody was there. Nobody could tell me anything. I went back to my unit, and they said, oh, yeah, we got some notification. We think your wife's living on base. I had to go to the housing because I had come home, and it was one of the short notice come homes. You know how it is.
Yep.
And so I didn't get a chance to notify my wife. I went to base housing and find out where my house was. Man, you talk about a sickening feeling.
Now remember, this is pre-internet. This is pre-email, pre-cell phones. We'd write our letters, put a number in the corner so we knew when it was, what number and what sequence.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did all that stuff.
So long story short, got out so quick. The only thing they made me do was that transitioning. So when I was in that transitioning, I had to fill out this resume, OF612. So I got out, I was on terminal leave. I got a job up at Lincoln Electric in Menor, and right away, I hate life, man.
Yep.
Here I am, a young 20-some-year-old guy. I've been all over the world, multiple war zones and everything. And here I am listening to these old guys hate life in a factory. And I was getting ready to go to the Army. I was going to go to the Army, man. I started everything. And just because I wanted back in that lifestyle, I couldn't transition.
Yeah.
I just could. Every day I didn't know. I wanted to just run. I wanted to run away, like many of us. And for the grace of God, the Air Force called me and said, hey, you filled out this application. Will you come to Oklahoma and work on 135s for us? We're starting a new training wing. So I said, yep. At the same time, I officially got out because I was on terminal leave. Joined Youngstown, so I was already reservist, and went to Oklahoma, and then was there a short time, and then I got an art job at Westover, which was a blessing. Westover, then to Youngstown, and that's it. And spent 16 years on 130s. So I worked 135, C5s, and 130s.
Wow.
And blessed, man. For all the hardships and craziness in there, like so many of our careers, Yeah. I was blessed along the way to meet fantastic people and help me through my career.
Yeah, it's kind of scary how similar our stories are with getting married and deploying and not going anywhere, and then all of a sudden you're there and moving. And my first 8 years with Trish, we counted it up. 4 of them we were apart, so 50% of our time, our first 8 years married.
Yeah.
Got married in June of 2001. I'm sorry, June of 2000. Had our daughter in July of 2001. 9/11 happened September 2001. Went into the reserves October 2001. And I missed that first deployment, or that first activation after 9/11.
Yeah.
And we were on, what was it, December of 03, I think it was December 03 to December of 05.
Yeah.
3 deployments in there. Get notice of activation the same day that we find out we're pregnant with my son, Jeffrey. 5 weeks later, I'm gone for 4 months or whatever it was. Come home, have Jeffrey in July. 8 weeks later, I'm over in Germany for 2 months. Come back home for whatever it was, and then back over for 4 months into Qatar.
Yeah.
Then I get picked up by the FAA, so I'm gone for 10 weeks for new hire training out to Oklahoma City again, and just always on the road. And then I get the bright idea at 37 years old that I'm going to be a flyer. So yeah. Hey.
It takes listen, man, thank goodness it takes a strong woman to tolerate all that,
Yeah, I think she's just in it for the money.
Yeah, that's what I say all the time. I'm the sugar daddy. Why would you give that up?
That's all I am. But you talk about transitioning and, it was boom, boom, boom. And listening to those civilian guys, I get the feeling you're like me where you just want to fucking choke people sometimes and tell them you don't know how good you have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've never been without, you've never left this county. You've never not had a meal. You've never had to eat out of a fucking bag or, for days on end or shit in a hole or, just you've never been part of this, man.
Well, Dora, my attitude is very similar. Our personalities are very similar. And that's led to some of the, brotherly arguments we'd get into over the years and then go hang out together. But you're absolutely right, man. I mean, if you look at all that stuff that you have gone through and your wife has gone through, like, listen, when I went to Oklahoma, I was back working at Lincoln Electric in Menor. I had a daughter. She was young. I literally went out there and I lived in my car for 3 months, because I was sending every ounce of money home to take care of my family, because that's what we do, right? And that was humbling, but I wouldn't give up that experience for anything. And because we do what we do, and I'm thankful for the humble upbringing I had, and also for the military to teach you take care of business, right? Do that. And I see so many people in the civilian world, man, that are just so entitled and so they just don't get it, man. They've been so blessed, but they can't see that blessing because there's just a fog in front of their eyes because of how they were brought up, or they were just blessed to get a good paying job right out of college and no clue. And one of the funniest things that my wife's always like, what is it with you and guys in the military and your purpose, right? Your purpose. Because I always feel like I have to be doing something that brings purpose to people or myself.
Yes.
And I'll say all the time, I'm like, I feel like I have no purpose. I have no purpose. And she's like, what is that? She goes, what job has purpose? I said, my last job had purpose.
Right.
My last job had meaning. It didn't matter who that person was. Listen, if I didn't have orders and I was getting on that airplane or that deployment, all of a sudden that person up in the orderly room had purpose.
Mm-hmm.
They meant something to me. You relied on all those trickle events to take place. That cook, when you've been on the freaking flight line for 14 hours, that cook has some serious purpose. So people in the civilian world don't truly a lot of times ever grasp that. And it's a shame.
I agree.
When the one thing, John, is that when people say, well, I think there should be mandatory service, I don't. COVID has taught me that most people don't. They're so weak about this whole mess, right? But I feel sorry for those that have never experienced it, because they'll never understand truly what it gave to us and what it gave to our souls. It takes from you. Absolutely, it takes from you. But what it gives you as a human being that most civilians will never experience can't be bought. It's not, you can't go to Disney World and buy that ticket to ride on that IMAX, right? The military is something that you have to earn. There's only one way to earn it. And we all know how it is, right? You can't buy it. You got to give it to get it back. And it's a shame that they don't, man. It's a shame.
Well, I'm gonna end this podcast right here and give it over to Ken Pauley. This is now the Ken Pauley Straight Talk podcast, because you just, wow, you just, you got me on that one, man. The hair's standing up, but you're 100% correct. You are. I have often said that any elected position, it should be a requirement to have served in the military, because they do not have any idea what it is like to put your name on a will at 18 or 19 years old and tell your mom and dad, listen, no news is good news. I'll call you when I can, and leave. And you have to make sure that airplane gets up, that the guys that are in it, or the women that are in it. Well, you and I, back in the day, they didn't have women in our airplanes, but like you said, it takes that whole team. I remember, you talk about the chow hall. I remember two incidences over in Qatar where, that's a rear echelon base. A lot of people used to go there just to get the hazardous fire and leave, and it was massive. And a lot
It's
of people who never had any
I
knowledge of
hated it.
airplanes or anything. I
Yeah,
couldn't stand it. But
I hated it.
we had one of these kids. I want to say he was from Mobile, or wherever that unit was that we were system unit.
Maxwell, yeah,
Maxwell.
yeah,
And he was bitching about the food because it was chicken or fish or spaghetti every day. And he's bitching. Now I had just got a phone call from or an email or phone call or something from my buddy in Balad. And this was 04, 05. And they had just had an RPG and mortar attack the night before. And the RPG skipped across the ramp through their trailer and lodged in the wall above his buddy's bed. They had taken out the chow hall the day before, so they were eating powdered eggs made in a 55-gallon drum with sternos.
right.
I mean, that's what they were eating. So this kid had just, hit my nerve with I can't fucking believe I got to eat this again. And I said, oddly enough, we have an airplane going to Balad this afternoon. I said, I'll be happy to put you on it. You can go hang out with my buddy Kevin.
Yeah.
He's up there with Transient Alert. They got hit by a mortar and an RPG last night. Their chow hall got blown up. They're eating powdered eggs.
Yeah.
You have two lines here. You can have a burger, a hot dog. You can have chicken, fish, or spaghetti. You can walk over and get a fresh salad. And I think there's like 30 gallons of ice cream over there in that freezer.
Yeah.
This is not difficult, dude.
Yeah.
Don't ever bitch about the food that the Air Force has. Ever.
Remember when we were in Kyrgyzstan, we brought those army troops in out of the front line.
Oh, my God.
They closed the chow hall on them and told them they had to eat cold MREs. Man, we all about lost our mind, man.
I'm like, are you kidding me? Really?
No, you're gonna heat up that freaking oven and feed these guys, man.
That was the Marine Corps we were bringing out and the Army we were sending in.
It was during Operation Anaconda.
What was it, Anaconda?
Yeah.
I got the citation for that place somewhere.
We did we did that, and we did the 25th and the 10th, the rotation between the 25th and the 10th.
That's what it was.
That was the time when me and I'll say his name, great load master, great guy, Chris Marino, we flew. We flew the 10th Mountain. We flew one of the last sergeant major that did the Mogadishu Mile. We flew him out of Kandahar on an illegal mission, basically. we turned, the aircrew turned down the load, and we rigged seats to get those guys that had been dropped off of helos on the ramp and was told to find a ride home.
Give them a ride.
We put them on the airplane, and before they called us back, and we said, no, we're loaded. We're going back to Kyrgyzstan. And Sergeant Major had done the Mogadishu Mile, man. On that mission, there was several Bronze Stars, Silver Stars, Purple Hearts, every one of them. They were a light assault infantry unit out of 10th Mountain, but I'll never, just, if you indulge me 1 second, I'll never forget this one troop, because I was on headset in the back running scanner with Chris and I think it was Donnie, rest in soul, Donnie Wallaker, right?
Yeah.
We were
Wait, Wallaker passed away?
Or not Wallaker, but I can't think of the load. The one that struck by lightning could eat a lot. You know who I'm talking about?
I do, but I can't remember his name.
Anyways, man, we were running scanner coming out of there. I was, watching in the windows and everything on headset, and there's this young. You remember how we used to keep the food, the extra food in boxes in back? Well, I was sitting there, and there's this young troop, and he's looking at this food, starved, And I said, "Hey, you get what you want." I said, "You hungry?" He said, "We haven't eaten in like 36 hours."
Oh.
So we're on headset. We're like, pass it up, whatever you got, pass it up. These guys are starving, So we give them guys all the food we have, and we called clear, engineer called clear airspace. And that sergeant major got up on the stanchions. He was swinging like a gorilla, man. Here, I think he was technically already out of the Army, but he had never been relieved, right?
Oh my God!
And this kid, I started talking to this young kid, and I said, "Hey, you going home to see your family? He said, I don't know if I have one. This is why civilians won't ever get it. I said, what do you mean? He said, because I was in Iraq. I was stationed at Fort Hood. I'll never forget this kid till the day I die. I was stationed at Fort Hood. They sent me to Iraq. I came home. I PCS'd to Fort Drum. While we were waiting for our stuff to make it to Fort Drum, they told me to go draw my gear. My unit was leaving for Afghanistan. So this kid was on a 4-year enlistment. He had already done over a year in Iraq.
Ugh.
Now he's been in Afghanistan with this high-speed unit with the 10th Mountain, and he hasn't talked to his family in months. And I'll never forget that kid, man. And we hugged, and I said, man, I hope the best for you and everything. And I don't know whatever happened to him. I hope when he got home, his family was there, but sometimes, vets, we're cruel to each other. We love each other, but we're cruel to each other,
Cruel.
And I thought about this kid. I was on a motorcycle ride in the middle of nowhere, and I had a vet shirt on, and this guy said, "Oh, you're a vet." He's pumping his gas. And I said, "Yeah, I was in the Air Force." Oh, armchair warrior, all this stuff, and really trying to insult me, and for some reason, I thought about that kid, and all I wanted to do was punch him in the throat and leave him for dead.
Yep.
Right there at that gas station. But I just said, well, we all got a role to play, and I left. But the rest of the day, all I could think about was that guy, because I'm like, I was never a door kicker. That. We were never door kickers, but I will tell you, I think for you, the same as me, I can look at my shadow box like you can, and I can look at all these awards, There's one on there that means the most to me, and it's the Outstanding Unit with Valor that we won.
Yeah, me too.
And the reason being because, I had brothers in front lines, special forces, army, and everything else. And I always knew that if my plane made that mission, it might be that aircraft that's refueling that fighter that lays ordnance on where they need it, right? I might be in that airplane bringing the wounded home, or supplying, or giving them a ride when nobody else would, because they didn't have the guts to go against orders and throw them on their airplane,
Right.
But when I look at that one with the Outstanding Unit with Valor, I remember, as crappy and much as I hated IUD too, because it was where all the pogues went, excuse my language. But dude, we reduced convoys over the road by over 70%.
Yeah.
And that was 70% of the people that weren't manning those freaking vehicles to deliver. And how hard we worked to get these airplanes flying every day, man, to get those planes, give you a good serviceable airplane, so guys weren't having to lay down rounds and get rounds thrown over their head, and it's the little things like that I'm thankful for.
Jesus, Pauley, killing me here, brother. I guess I'm missing a V then, because I thought our V came from Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah,
Anaconda and all that shit.
Yeah, we got one in the deed as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but dude, it was when you think about that, just to think about Kyrgyzstan alone.
Oh yeah, the amount of people, the numbers that we took in and out, just
insane.
I will never forget pulling that, because we pulled the 10th Mountain out, right?
10th out, 25th in,
so
along with the Marines.
When the 25th was going in, we had just gotten there. I don't even think we'd been there a week yet. And I see all these young, wet behind the ear, 18, 19-year-old kids, and I'm handing out earplugs to everybody, so they don't have to worry about it, right? I'm handing them out, and I'm giving each one of them a salute. And when that airplane came back with the 10th, oh my God, I'll never forget their faces, dude. I'll never forget them. They're beaten, they're worn, they're tired, they're hungry. And man, just
it's humbling, and then
it is.
Luckily for me, on the second rotation to the deed, I landed there, and that night they kicked me out of the temporary lodging, and I went and worked with the Marines in Djibouti, sticking it in Djibouti for a couple weeks, and that was humbling,
I was so jealous of you, man, because I'm like, Pauley is always gone. He's getting to do all this cool stuff.
So you want to know the funny story about why I went to Africa so quick and go with the Marines, is because I wouldn't take the smallpox shot. I'm probably one of the only guys that ever refused that shot and then get booted out.
Wow.
So my son had a skin condition, and the doctor said if that was my kid, I wouldn't take it. Right. So that was enough. So they told me when I got there, they'd make me get it in country. So I landed, and I never turned in my medical records. And I told our commander, I said, well, you'll be sending me home in cuffs, man, because my family's more important at this point,
Right.
So they literally came and pulled me out of the dorm at like 2 a.m. Said, I went with a mini guard crew. Wasn't even our crew. I went with mini air guard to Africa to support AFRICON for weeks, and lived with the Marine Corps, man, right there by their CH-53 hut. And some of the Marine brothers know it, and got to sticking it into Djibouti credit. And
Yep.
But it was a great experience. I was so thankful that I refused that shot, because I got to go. We were fortunate. We worked with Marines several times, in different places. And I lived with them guys. I'll never forget, though, we were back by the snake pit, for your Marine veterans listening, man. We were back by and these guard crews were getting back there, getting a little too close. And, I grew up in a house where it was like the Marine Corps every day, with brothers fighting and blood and skin on the end of coffee tables. And I told them guys, I'm like, listen, uniform doesn't matter, man. If one of these guys want to pull you in, you better be ready to go, because they're going to kick your ass. Like mind your own business, But listen, going back to what you said earlier, I don't think any of us would trade it for anything.
No, I wouldn't. Not at all. I might do things a little bit differently, but I'm very fortunate in that I got to work aircraft maintenance for 15 years.
Yeah.
F4s, A10s, a little bit on F16s, back to F4s, over to AWACS, and then C-130s. And I got to go a lot of different places. It's something like 28 countries, 44 states, just something ridiculous.
Insane. Yeah. Insane.
And you get to see a whole bunch of stuff that, 95% of the world's never going to see or do. Yeah. And, you talk about that V meaning the most. And my cousin is an F-15 Strike Eagle. He's commander now down in Herbert or Eglin, one of them two down there. 422nd Test and Eval. That's my cousin's unit. And I got in my uniform for a funeral, and he said, "Oh, how'd you get that? Where was that from?" Something. I think it was the V, or it was the Joint Meritorious Unit that we got for something.
Yeah.
Presidential border,
right.
High class stuff. And I told him, and he goes, "Those are the ones that mean the most to me too." Because it's a full team effort on those. It's everybody doing everything that needs to be done when it needs to be done, and doing it very, very well.
Yeah, exactly.
I have no idea where I was going with that.
And you know why? Because you had a direct effect on somebody's potential life. You did your role when it was needed to be done at maximum effort.
Right.
The maintenance world is a dirty world, man.
Dirty.
No matter what, dirty. But at the end of the day, that brotherhood and that dedication, you don't find it in the FAA. You don't find it in the civilian world, man.
You talk about being a dirty world and pogues over at Qatar. I had just walked out of I think we had trailers then, or tents. I don't remember. And two young airmen, A1C senior airman types, just filthy, head to toe filthy. I had just seen them changing the boom on a refueler out on the line, and they had come back, and I was already done. And this freaking first sergeant chief or something stops these kids as soon as they get off the bus. "Don't you fucking dare go into that chop!" And I can't have this. This ain't happening.
Yeah,
this is not happening. And I walked up and I said, "Excuse me, first sergeant, these two can leave." And they left. And he starts chewing my ass. And I said, "First of all, do you know where those kids were for the last 14 hours?
Yeah.
"Well, no, I don't, but they're filthy." I said, "Yeah, they were changing the boom on a refueler so that we could, refuel. You're probably finance or something, so you wouldn't understand what that means." I said, "But don't you ever jump their shit for doing their job."
Yeah.
I guarantee you that they weren't going to go into the chow hall right away.
Yeah.
Just calm down a little bit. What's your name? Moser, Moser, Master Sergeant, Superintendent of 746th.
Yep. Yep. Make sure you get it right.
Whatever I was back then, not
Make
superintendent.
sure you don't misspell it. I want to answer for this one.
Yeah. I do want to answer for this one. So please, please bring it up. Just Pauley, you and I could talk forever.
We could. We're probably boring the listeners, but
I don't know. What are you doing now? Because I'm sure you still have days, and what do you do to get yourself better, get yourself out of those moments?
I mean, I think, to be honest, man, I think one of the hardest things is being away from the world, our world, our brothers and sisters now, and just that community, right? So for me, I left it 100%. I took a job after 26 years making chief, which, thank God, by the grace of God, I don't even know, but I had an active duty buddy that offered me a job with a great company. So they moved me out here to Arizona, where we knew one person. Our daughter luckily transferred to University of Arizona, but it's still tough being out of that world, right? I stay in contact with you and people back at the base, but it's not the same. Where I struggle, John, is, I guess, the rage, right? I've never had that black day where I thought, this is the day. Where I struggle with is my explosiveness, right? And it's not a physical, rage, but sometimes I can catch myself, or after, my wife might get out of the car, because a lot of days I'll take her to work because I work from home, or pick her up, and I'm like, why did I say that? I've been married to this woman for 29 years. She's put up with everything, and why the hell did I say that, right? And it hurts, it hurts me. Like, I actually had that happen today, and it hurts your soul,
Yep.
And it's a struggle that I deal with. Matter of fact, I told her just the other day, I think it's time that I probably go talk to somebody, because I just need somebody that can relate. And we all do it. I used to drink. I still will have a beer, as like every once in a while, but I don't drink heavy at all anymore.
Not good. It's not good for you.
It's not good for you. I was never, I want to say I was never an alcoholic, but there was days I would, go to the bar outside of base and drink too much, and I don't do that anymore. It's not good. I'll jump on my motorcycle. I'll go for a ride. I'll go hiking. And my wife doesn't understand it sometimes, but I'm like, I just got to get away.
Yep.
I just got to get away. I feel the darkness coming over, and I got to get out of here for a little bit.
Yep. So I just had that happen the other day, where I just looked at Trish. It was a great day. We just bought my son a car. He was going to learn to drive. We've got a truck and a Tahoe. He don't want to drive something that big. So we bought him this little tiny car. We went to dinner, saw his sister, who has moved out, and we get home, it's 9:30 at night, and Trish sits on the couch and starts watching tickety talk shit. So she's giggling, and I hear, neither one of us can hear real well anymore because of all the airplane stuff, but it's a muffled something. I can't make it out. And my son's playing with the cat. Then the dog decides to start running. So the wife turns on the television, and it's just everything, bam, right then and there. And I just stood up, and I looked at her, and I looked at him, and I said, it's not you guys.
Yeah.
I need to step away for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I just came downstairs. Don't even remember what I did, but you got to remove yourself from those situations. The key is recognizing it before it gets bad. And I can remember when you would get frustrated and pissed, your whole head turns red, just red as a tomato.
Yeah.
And man, I can remember those days and just be like, man, I think I pissed off Pauley.
Yeah. I don't hide it well. I never have. That's, I remember towards the end there with Chief Schmalley, I'll give his name, me and him, we were the dynamic duo, they used to say, but he would see it, and he'd be like, I got this one. You need to step away,
right.
Or other times he knew he'd need that rage, it'd be like, you got this one, but you can read me. I'm a person you can read. I definitely hold my emotions very visibly, and they're out there.
Did you ever
And,
hear the nickname my air crew gave me while we were in the desert this last time?
oh man, what? I can only imagine.
Angry Turtle.
Oh
Because
my God, that's fitting, man.
we used to have to carry our bug out backpacks, right?
Right.
So you have that, but we also had to carry all our paper manuals for flight engineering.
Yeah,
So
you
I've
had to
got two of those black bug out backpacks carrying them, and my fat head, bald, and fat, I'm down like this. And my pilot was not the greatest, and we always fought. Every
right.
flight we fought, and I can't remember who was the game. It was either Andy Sheen or Chelsea Plogger,
Yeah.
and just one of them. And I had Z-Man as my navigator, so I always had the voice of reason, the calm,
Yeah.
collected guy. As long as you fed him a pound of Twizzlers, he was happy.
Right.
So yeah, Angry Turtle, man. Angry
Oh,
Turtle.
that's a great name, man. Yeah. Yeah. There's pictures of when we were in Kyrgyzstan and Ben Sewell had put Angry Pauley. There's a picture of me red faced and he's Angry Pauley, like I guess that happened way too much.
Once or twice. Yeah. Once or twice. Pauley, listen, I know you struggle. You've got my number. Anytime, my brother. I will drop what I'm doing to talk to you.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah. There's so many of us that have them, and you never know when it's like something like a bad rash. You never know when it's gonna flare up, and then you just try to work through it, right? So that's what we do, and just try to be better people, right?
Try to be better people. Just be better today than we were yesterday.
Yeah, man, that's it. And I think it's important what you and Save 22 is doing, to help people in the community, because honestly, I think it's that loss of community that we all go through that people don't experience, that they don't know about. It's that loss of that brotherhood that it's still there. We all have our connections. That brotherhood's still there. But when you're in that daily grind with everybody else, John, everybody's, almost all of your friends are dealing with the same emotions, right? So you can just go in and, excuse my language, to your listeners, and be like, listen, fucktard, we're not doing this today, right? And you square each other away pretty quick. But once you're outside of that community and you don't have that reset of your buddy stomping on your throat for no reason, right?
Sure.
It's hard. It's a very tough love that is required by so many of us.
I agree.
It's just, there's some days you need that tough love.
You can't just, on your, 10 hours or 12 hours off, whatever we got.
Yeah.
Hey, come on, man. We're going to go do laundry and go to the Green Bean and grab a coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't do it. We're going to go play Tiger Woods, PGA, whatever for 3 hours over in the morale tent. You just can't.
Just think of how many times you ever made it into the morale tent.
Right.
We never went.
Never had a chance.
Man, never had a chance. You were just humping so much, and you look at those people where you go there on the end of a trip and be like, where was this building?
Right.
Because me and my idiot friends, we were stuck out there working for 20 plus hours,
Yeah.
It sucked. It was great.
I will tell you, as a flyer, as an air crew, I got to see a whole lot more places.
That's why we had that love-hate relationship. But you pounded many ramps in your days, man.
I did.
You got to earn that. You earned that.
I did. That's what was always so awesome about walking out to the airplanes, about being a flyer in a unit that I not really grew up in, but spent so much time in, and then come fly those airplanes, because all those guys knew me. Everybody knew me. And they're like, what'd you break now? Well, hold on a minute, or, hey, we did this and this. Can you look at this? Yeah, absolutely. It was just, it was phenomenal. And, guys like some of the avionics guys, Jimmy Norton, Sean Jackson.
Great guys, man.
Chuck Didion. I don't think you remember Nadia Dugan.
Yeah, I remember Dugan.
Just excellent people, man.
you know, I mean, the it's just such a unique brotherhood, man.
Right.
You know, you could just we could sit here and name names for the next couple hours, you know, and tell
Right.
stories about all of them. But you know, that was one thing I don't think a lot of people understand about the heavy world in the Air Force, that you're so tied to that flight crew and those officers when you're in on heavies and in maintenance. And I mean, you rely on everybody, you know.
Yeah.
You're that bond between officer and enlisted when it comes to flight crew and maintenance, crew chiefs and everything else, is not like anything else probably in any other branch. You know,
No,
the way
it's
you
not like
talk
anything else in
together,
the Air Force.
it's not like anything else in the Air Force.
You know, I was lucky enough to work on fighters for the first 6 years of my career and then move over to AWACS. And it was like going in reverse. I
Yeah.
mean, we were so high speed on fighters. And then to show up at Tinker and work AWACS, it was like, this is boring.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it was tough. But once I kind of got in the groove and I'm like, all right, look, they don't need electronic warfare here in the States on these things. I'm going to go hang out with my crew chief buddies because I mesh with them a whole lot better anyway.
Right.
So I
Right.
learned to change tires, do brakes, do engine runs. I was the only avionics troop to ever be qualified to run engines in AWACS.
Well,
You
I
know,
mean, you were a crew chief, man. I mean, you lived in our world. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, if you remember, let's Kyrgyzstan. We pull up and there was your truck and our truck, and we got a rig, we got a prep, we got you know, unfortunately this airplane's carrying some, you know, unfortunate stuff, and
right.
you know, and there was no, oh, what are you guys doing out here?
No,
If I remember right, you were the one going in for the few guys sleeping in that break room and kicking their ass and getting them to get out there and work, you know.
I may have been a hard ass back then. Yeah.
Let's go, guys. We got shit to do.
It just always bothered me, man, that the crew chiefs are out there, you know, rain, sun. You remember that one day when it was sunny and like 60 in the morning and rain in the afternoon and then snowed later in the, do you remember that one day?
Man, yeah.
We were like, what in the hell just happened?
Yeah. Yeah, you went from short sleeves to de-icing all in the same day.
Yes, all in the same day.
Listen, that's a unique place for anybody that ever went through Rainbow Row or anything. I'm sure you've probably run into some of your friends on Save 22 that they can remember Rainbow Row there at Kyrgyzstan and staying in that. It was the only place I went to bed and it was like 80 degrees and I woke up to walk that 253 steps to the shitter and I came out and there was 3 feet of snow.
It was, yeah, that was a long shit, but
remember that?
I do.
It was beautiful.
I do. That was crazy.
Woke up the next morning, there was a blizzard.
Yeah, that was weird. I think I got a picture of it somewhere. A real legit, no kidding, you know, Polaroid picture of it somewhere. We're just like, yeah, we were in short sleeves this morning, and now Pauley's throwing snowballs at Sammy. So
it was a great day, man. Listen, out of all, I can honestly say this, out of all my deployments, I probably made more lifelong friends. I think honestly, I counted them. I have over like 14 or 15 deployments.
Yeah.
In those 26 years, right? But the Kyrgyzstan is the one that stands out.
Yes.
You couldn't have put, if they would have tried to marry 2 units together, us and Maxwell, and get along so well and work so well together, the planners could have never done it.
No.
They couldn't have done it in a million years that these guys from up north and these southern boys from down south would somehow become family all these years later.
Yeah.
And get along and work together so well. They got so lucky with their let's just throw these 2 units together. You know, right. We kicked some ass.
We did. I know us and Pittsburgh didn't do very well together.
Yeah.
But us and Maxwell were. That was awesome, and we ended up staying with them too when we went to.
Ended up keeping us all together.
Together for 2 years. Yeah. It was great.
It was great.
It was. It was really awesome. Pauley, I'm going to let you go.
It's been outstanding, man.
It's been.
Appreciate the opportunity and what you and Save 22 are doing to get the word out there to help veterans like myself and so many others. Listen, we got a whole unit back there in Ohio with people like us that have fantastic stories, but just don't want to tell because of that. I don't want people to think anything worse of me, right?
Right.
So many of us struggle in different ways. You
Right.
know, we all lost friends to unfortunate situations and
Right.
everything else. And, you know, groups like what you're doing, you work with, and it's needed. It's desperately needed.
It is.
And thank all of you for what you do, and all your guests so far. They've been awesome. It's a great show.
Thank you. Thank you, Pauley. Share it with your friends.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, man.
All right. Listen, we're going to
Hey,
stay in touch. I don't think we'll ever stop
no,
until.
man. Hey, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Yes.
Nothing but blessings for all of you.
Yes, you too. And when I make it back out there, we're going to get lunch again.
Absolutely, man.
All right.
Guaranteed.
Take
All
care
right.
of yourself, my
Take
brother.
care. Yeah, you too. Bye.
Yeah. So just two old friends having a conversation for a couple hours, huh? Um, yeah, that's about all I got for that one. It's so good to catch up. As you can see, you know, when you make a friend in the service, especially when you're deployed or in a combat zone, and you share that commonality of when you wake up, when you go to bed, sleeping in the same tent, um, you know, the same chow hall, the same food, the same shitter, the same experiences. It creates a bond that will never ever be broken. And you know, Paulie and I probably talk once a month or so, or send a text or anything like that over the past year or so, and uh, it's like we never put the phone down. It's like we're side by side fixing airplanes again, and it's absolutely amazing. My day is now better for it because I got to talk to Paulie. Um, so today's special code for Live Synthetic Oils on Facebook is, I think we're going to call it Angry Turtle. Let's go with Angry Turtle. ANGRYTURTLE. Angry Turtle. That'll be today's code. So Live Synthetic Oils on Facebook for all your synthetic oil needs. Small engines, big trucks, big cars, little cars, motorcycles, gun cleaning equipment. Check out Ian on Live Synthetic Oils on Facebook. That code is only good on your Facebook page. So with that, I will leave you be, and we will talk to you next time. And like Dave says, call me. We'll get through it together.